Hey, what's up, you guys? My name is Snow, and welcome back to LEGO Arts. It's been a while since I've been at this series, and I apologize for that. But now I'm gonna get started getting back into the flow of things, and we're gonna keep the series rolling again. So the last episode we did showcase on LEGO Indiana Jones that I just made for the fun of it. So I'm back with another solo minifigure showcase that I also made for the fun of it, and that is Batman based off of the character from Batman Ninja. Which, if you haven't seen that movie, it's kind of a strange movie. So if you don't want to be spoiled about it, like skip on ahead a little bit. But basically, the movie, on paper, it sounds cool. Of like Batman traveling back into the past, on Japan, and being stripped from all of his tech, and now having to learn like the ways of the ninja, which is weird because it says Batman Ninja, and yet he is dressed like a samurai. Why? I have no idea. But I kind of wanted to do this sort of minifigure here, and I recently saw the movie, and I like the idea, like I like the art style and like some of the plot points, but some bits of it's like the villains and their equipment, it's just crazy, and it would have been better if it did not have any of those weird things. But anyways, enough about the movie. So the minifigure itself, I really made this just for the fun of it. Like back when I started out customizing, one of my favorite things to do was doing like DC superheroes, and Batman, I always like to do multiple different versions of Batman. So I finally decided, like, let's do one in the form of a ninja who is a samurai. Samurai. So anyways, as you guys did the whole drill, I'm going to take this minifigure, do a little showcase on it, explain my process, why I went with this route, and then go from there. So, without further ado, let's get the pedestal out and begin this showcase on the road. Okay, so when making this suit, it was a little bit tricky to do this, because I based this whole suit off of an action figure that I found online. That's an actual action figure from the movie itself, because I couldn't find like enough photographs to give me like a real basic idea as to how this minifigure should look like. So some of the things that I did was I added like some of the armor pieces. I did three-dimensional pieces of like some of the samurai armor, like around like the legs and the waist, and also on the back of the cowl. One of the interesting things when making this suit is sort of like the basics of the cowl itself. So with the cowl, this is based off of like one of my spare Batman minifigures. It was like an Arctic suit minifigure that I got like years ago. I cut off like the chin strap and replaced it with a new white one. I almost thought that like this little piece here, I almost thought that this was actually on the armor, but then when I saw a different photo that we could actually see the bat symbol underneath it a lot more clearer, I then realized like, oh, I get it. I gotta put it on the actual chin strap. So I did that. The back with the rest of the armor, and then the armor, it was a little bit tricky to make because one of the difficult things I had was making sure that the clay I was working with was soft enough for me to mold it, but not hard enough that it would crack. So that was an interesting challenge. And then afterwards, I gave it like some sanding out like on the back, like underneath of the helmet piece. I almost thought about like maybe taking a samurai helmet and like cutting off bits of it and then like gluing it onto the back. But I didn't have any helmets like that. So I just stuck with my creative side and just made the rest of the mask. The armor itself, hang on. How about we remove the katanas? Oh, nice. I mainly have those there for show. Okay, when removing the cowl, okay, careful. Gonna be amazing. Here we go. Ah, there we go. So here we have, of course, like the Bruce Wayne Batman head. This is the same head that I use pretty much for all my other Batman minifigures, because the idea is that there's like one Batman, but he has multiple different suits. So, when looking a little bit more on the cowl itself, you can kind of see that one of the eyes looks a little bit weird, and that's partially my fault. So years ago with Arctic Batman, I was basically trying to make it for where like his whole face would be concealed. So back then, I took some Play-Doh, took some super glue, and then like glued the Play-Doh onto the mask. Unfortunately, though, I didn't count that some of the glue would wind up in, like, the eyepiece, and so it sort of got messed up. I sort of fixed it, but it's still slightly messed up to this day. Unfortunately. Okay. So showing a little bit underneath of the mask, you could see of, like, some of the sanding I did underneath the helmet. I did a little sanding on, like, the chin strap. Not really much here on this armor piece, because it wasn't really needed. And it's, though if it was, I would have done it. And I also did a little sanding on the front of this armor. So the chest armor is based off of... The chest armor originally was from a Red Hood minifigure that I got a couple of years ago from the Lego Batman movie minifigures. The cape, you can kind of see it's a modified cape. I was actually going to use this cape originally for making, like, a Lingering Will minifigure for, like, a Kingdom Hearts showcase. But eventually, I just lost motivation to build the figure itself for the wave, and eventually, I just gave up entirely. But I always kept the cape around, as for, like, maybe as, like, an attempt that I maybe sparked some interest in doing a new minifigure. And I did. So, hang on, let's remove the head. Here we go. So, when looking at the cape itself, it was a lot easier to paint than some of the other ones, because as it had already been painted, like, blue and gold. I then repainted it completely black. You can kind of see a little bit of glue on here, and it's mainly because the original cape itself was for a Zurg minifigure, but I pretty much cut a little bit off, then repositioned it, glued it on, trimmed it up a bit, and then made the rest of the cape. I also cut a little bit of the back off, so that way the helmet could fit on. While we have this off, let's look a little bit on the back. So these gold trims on it, some of it is supposed to be like some of the more metallic pieces on the suit. The others, I tried to make it like some little threads on there. It's not too big of a deal, because mainly the suit is always wearing a cape. You can see like some of the armor like some of the armor bits around the waist. I almost made the mistake on putting them like way too down of where the legs are. I can't really bend the legs anyways, but that would have been bad if it was in that case and then I all of a sudden couldn't move the figure at all. But I rechecked it and everything. You can see a little bit of like gold and bronze on like some of the gauntlets for the suit. You see a little bit of tan on here. I added that in because in the movie Batman is wearing like fingerless gloves. So that was sort of an interesting thing to do. I think the hardest thing to do with this minifigure was some of the armor around the legs. Mainly because when looking at the action figure itself, it was hard to figure out, like, what should be the position of each of these armor pieces. Because the legs were long, and also the way how it was designed, it didn't give me an entirely clear image as to how I should proceed with this figure. But then when I finally figured it out, I then got a basic idea of it, then took some of the clay, put it on here, painted it into like a dark gray color, and then went back with the gold, adding in the detailing. I do admit my back symbol detailing is not impressive. It's not, but I am practicing more and more, so hopefully it'll get better in the future. There's more bronze trimming on here. Oh, I almost forgot. Okay, so if we remove the figure a little bit, careful, do not break. There we go. You see, like, some gold, like some more bits of gold around the shoulder pads, and it's basically to add a little bit more on the armor on the character. Same thing with the rest of the suit. The suit is mainly bronze and gold, is what I realized when making this thing. And I don't know how well you guys can see it on there, but hang on, let's shine in a little bit light on the situation. Here we go. Okay, I don't know how well you guys can see it, but I painted like these little abs. I painted like abs on the body. I almost left it blank, but then I thought like that's not really adding up to a minifigure. I need to complete that. So what I did, it's part of a new technique that I'm trying out. I take a Sharpie, then like draw it out, and then later on go back with some paint, and then outline the minifigure for those areas. And it kind of works. But depending on like the base color of the paint, you're gonna need like a specific Sharpie. Like if it's a very dark color, like black, you may need either a gold or a silver Sharpie. Like one of those special shiny Sharpies. If it's a plain color, you can just go in like a regular Sharpie. Mainly black. Like a black Sharpie. So in general, it really depends on like what the color you want to choose and everything. I also did some sanding on some of the like the chest armor. I was originally gonna go with the same armor, like the same chest armor that they used for the Armor Batman minifigure for Batman v Superman, but I felt it didn't represent much of the character accurately to the character. So I went back and found this armor that I wasn't using for anything else, and then chose to use that instead. I did add to sand it a bit. There was some stuff on the back, and also there was like a little chest thing. Not a chest, more of a neck piece that was designed to like equip big dome like helmets on. I went back and nearly broke some of this off when sanding it. It was a little bit crazy, but in the end, I managed to get it pretty well done. So, yeah, that pretty much does it for this minifigure. So, I'll go ahead, wrap this showcase up, and then we'll begin talking about, like, what we have next in store for the channel. So, that pretty much does it for this episode of LEGO Arts, and in case you were wondering that if I wasn't a huge fan of the movie, why did I make this minifigure in the first place? Well, same reason that I made The Rival and Ragman, because this looked awesome. And I really miss making minifigures for the fun of it. That sometimes... And I feel like I make minifigures because I have to do. So I'm hoping for in the future, making more minifigures just for the fun of it. Like, maybe more versions on Batman. Because I really liked making those minifigures. Especially since they give me an excuse to get all creative with it. So I'm hoping for the future to do, like, some more, like, movie versions of that. Maybe comic book styles. Potentially, like, fan-made designs. Like, some interpretations that we may not even expect. But those are all for the future. Now, we got about like a few more showcases coming up for the 50th special. I have an idea of what I'm gonna do for the next showcase, so I'll leave a teaser at the end of the video to leave you guys guessing. Then I know what to do for the next one, and for the 50th special, around then, I'm hoping that's when I finish LEGO Kingdom Hearts 3. I'm almost done. I need to finalize a couple more things, and then we'll be good to go. And we'll be good to go. So anyways, if you guys want to see more videos like this in the future, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications. It really, really helps us work on Let's Plays, LEGO projects, and we're mainly here to have some fun. So anywho, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, hit that like button, comment below what you think, share this to your friends, subscribe to me on YouTube, follow me on Twitch. And here's a hop for the road. Woo! Thank you guys, and I'll see you next time. When the ice moon rises!
There's no doubting of what you've achieved on a technical level. These are clearly state-of-the-art. There are just certain design choices that were made for these robots that we don't fully understand. We were hoping that you could shed some light on those. She can dance. She can sing. She's equipped with a built-in helium tank, inflating balloons right at her fingertips. She can take song requests. She can even disperse ice cream. With all due respect, those were the design choices we were curious about, Mr. Afton.